What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Prime Video's new series, The Terminal List Dark Wolf. Let's rock this. Okay, if you recall, back in 2022, I told you that I was a huge fan of the Terminal List series starring Chris Pratt as James Reese, and I still stand by that to this day. It wasn't perfect, but in many ways it was a satisfying revenge thriller, which, as you all know, is a genre I am a sucker for. I never thought it needed another installment. I thought the Terminal List should have been left as a standalone. But if there was gonna be another installment, I was hoping that they would continue the James Reese story, seeing that author Jack Carr wrote multiple books about his fictional hero. But alas, Prime Video is giving us a prequel origin story instead. The Terminal List Dark Wolf. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not based on any of the books that Jack Carr wrote. It's just based on the characters that he created, so it's not a straight up adaptation per se. So yes, I've already watched the entire 7 episodes, and this show is just one big giant meh. Now, don't get me wrong, there are parts about it that are noteworthy. I'm talking, of course, about the street shootouts and the military action. They come across as authentic, and they are intense. So if you've come to see those particular moments, they do pack quite the hell of a punch. But at the same time, some of the episodes are dull and sluggish, and to be frank, the twist reveals are not all that clever. You can kind of see them coming a mile away. The transition from espionage thriller to righteous vengeance is also formulaic and predictable, and the political intrigues are shallow and quite basic. And I haven't even gotten to the reason why I think this show is super cringe, so stick around. Co-created by the New York Times bestselling author of The Terminal List, Jack Carr, and Season 1 creator-showrunner David DiGilio, The Terminal List Dark Wolf is a prequel series with an origin story that follows Ben Edwards throughout his journey from the Navy SEALs to the clandestine side of CIA Special Operations. The series is an espionage thriller that explores the darker side of warfare and the human cost that comes with it. It also features Chris Pratt reprising his role as James Reese, starring Taylor Kitsch, Tom Hopper, Luke Hemsworth, and more. Here's why The Terminal List Dark Wolf is cringe. The whole thing is intentionally and purposely designed as a starring vehicle for Taylor Kitsch. Look, I'm not hating on Taylor. I think he's a fine actor. But let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. Taylor is not a superstar. He doesn't have roles constantly thrown his way at every moment. No. Some of his stuff in the past were memorable, and some of his stuff in the past were also forgettable. So this whole project seems like a PD project. Like I said earlier, Jack Carr's fictional hero is James Reese. Then why are you shifting your focus to the guy that James Reese shot and killed on his own boat at the end of The Terminal List? I think it's accurate to say that the fans wanted to see more of James Reese. They don't give two shits about Ben Edwards. Look, I think it's nice that executive producer Chris Pratt and the guys behind the camera and the executives wanted to create a steady employment for Taylor and these other guys, including Chris Hemsworth's obscure older brother, just so they can have their own show that they can come back to season after season. But again, it just comes across as a pity project or a sympathy project. It's kind of sad if you think about it. Now, did Taylor do poorly on this show? No, not really. But he's also nowhere near charismatic. A lot of the times, his performance is stiff or bland. And yet, they want to have us believe that he's the guy whose journey is worth following. The themes in The Terminal List Dark Wolf are also not in the current with the times, especially with the general public's perception today that's gradually turning on Israel and viewing Mossad in a negative light after the genocide that they've committed in Gaza. So something like what this show presents just feels out of place and propagandistic. That said, the show's pro-serviceman sentiment, focusing on brotherhood and sacrifice and solidarity, is not just something that's embedded, ingrained, and expected in this franchise, but it's also an aspect that does land well and gets its point across. So yeah, overall I give The Terminal List Dark Wolf the rating of 2 out of 5. As an action thriller, it's quite alright, but as a narrative, it doesn't have the nuances that you think it does. heavy-handed, generic, and monotonous.